day there would be a moment where I would, like around 5:30, 6 o'clock, right before rehearsal would start, where my engine would start to kick up to get ready to go into rehearsal. And I go, what is that? What am I feeling? Oh, right. I'm supposed to be rehearsing Cabaret today. And so I have all this pent up energy and creative energy and frustration that has not had anywhere to go. So the next show I do, watch out.
Antonio, what was it like to have your time on the show cut short? And how was your grieving process?
This one was rough, very, very rough, because this is a role that's I've been waiting for, and for it to finally, make its way into my hands, and then just as quickly as it came, it went. Has been really hard. To bring this role to life was something that was super exciting to me. Being able to tell the story in today's time and also be an African-American male while doing it was going to be amazing. I'm still sitting with it. I have a strange feeling that these feelings are not going to change until this show is brought to life.
Our design process started, oh my goodness, what was it, last August? So I'd been living with these people for not just the design team, but all these characters for a long time, through my internship, through everything. And there's an expectation that you get to have a nice little bow at the end of your journey, getting your master's, and not getting to do that, seeing the disappointment with my peers or through the cast as they went through their grieving process, because we're very close, and so we all were feeling this together. Fittings were underway. I've got fitting photos that are of garments that won't be finished.
You worked your tail off on that show, and they were great. In the end, I'm trying to find a healing place with all this, to just be grateful for having had those many months of wrestling with the material, and then that glorious week and a half of beginnings of rehearsals and the creative process beginning to congeal, to hold on to. So yeah, I'm grieving. I'm sad. It was really hard.
Tim, what's a discovery that you made during the process, or one of your discoveries?
Oh gosh, there are so many. It's an incredible piece of work that just continues to live. And I think the main thing, while I knew it was a relevant piece, like every day in rehearsal, something would come up that would remind me just how relevant it was. I'm very mission driven as an artist, and what the musical is talking about just felt so incredibly timely, and still does, in relationship to how this current maniacal administration is running this country, and how there still seem to be so many people asleep.
Antonio, do you feel like you've learned anything from this that you're going to bring into your future work?
Absolutely. That it's never too soon to pour your everything into what you're doing. Because you never know. You may not have more time. Now's the time when you get the chance to go for it. Try the things that you're afraid of. Just give your full self to the work while you can.
We only had about a week and a half of rehearsals, but we had some great times. But were there any discoveries that you made while working on the show?
I think one of the biggest discoveries that I had would be just how personalized this could get, how much it took really knowing every single character and knowing what your relationship was, and how important that was going to be to building this world.
I think we decided right early on that it was really important to have a journey for each character, and not just, I guess, what you would think of the traditional leads. There are so many named characters. coming into that Kit Kat meeting, which was fantastic, wanting to get their buy-in on characters, and then watching them dive into it and tell the story with it, and adding their own spin on things was incredibly valuable for me. One of my biggest challenges was the amount of sexuality in this show, and these are college age undergrads, most of them, and young adults that are discovering their sexuality and not wanting to press them so far past their comfort level. Consent was so important from the beginning. So
Yes.
It was consent of the sexuality and the character and all of that. And it was just such an organic and beautiful way to discover each of these people. And it kind of organically happened.
Well, I remember finally after we had our first Kit Kat meeting, and me and Chante got to sit down for a second and kind of discuss things. And we'd kind of been chatting back and forth a little bit before then, but just the way that she asked me first, what was I comfortable with, and kind of what ideas I had in mind, that already kind of put me in a mindset that I was in good hands. Because I think there's something that's so easy to kind of generalize this character with all of the ones that have come before it. And working through this and the way that Shantae guided this process made it feel like something that fit me, and that I was building my own MC and not just another one of the ones that had kind of been produced over the years.
But the other thing I want to say is that, while I had great respect for the students going into the project, as soon as we started to uncover the design process and uncovered some of the rehearsal process on our feet, I was astonished at just how talented and how much each of these students had to bring to the table and how passionate everyone was about it.
I think something that occurred to me the most out of all of this was, or what I learned actually, was observing not just how the School of Drama handled this, but also the community as a whole, outside of the theater community outside of UW. I guess for me it starts feeling a little bit like academia and then professional theater, and then this all happened, and we were all artists and we were all pushing and trying to still fulfill our mission. It was simultaneously heartbreaking and really affirming, and to see the grace under pressure that happened was inspiring.
We have certain things that we could not predict. It wasn't anything that any of us could have fathomed. So I think, unforeseen circumstances, of course, but art will always thrive.
And the faith in the human spirit to overcome these difficulties, which is, the story in the end of what happens after Cabaret, is that people do go on and survive, and we do learn from those things. That I feel like, in a way, having this land on us, having this land on me, is just another test of whether I really can walk my talk as an artist when I say I really believe in the indomitability of the human spirit. And now I get to prove it or try. And I've just been so impressed with all of you students and how well you've been able to handle this, and just in how the faculty rose to the occasion and the staff at the UW. And we're going to get through this. And I hope that we will learn from what we have lost, and maybe that we took for granted some things. And the possibility is that we will have greater appreciation for what life was like before this happened, and that when it returns back in whatever form it returns back, that we're able to cherish and have more respect and more value for those things going forward, and that we don't lose the generosity of spirit that this has brought out of all of us.